Spiritual Direction from Dante, Avoiding the Inferno, a book by Father Paul Pearson of the Oratory. Canto 21. Topics: Society serving the selfish, fighting back without diminishing ourselves, a culture of fine print. John Dalbrook Acton, the first Baron Acton, had the opportunity to observe power up close. His experience has been passed on to future generations in the memorable quotation, "Power tends to corrupt. Absolute power corrupts absolutely." A person's moral conscience tends to diminish as his power increases. It is a rare and beautiful thing to meet someone in power who is humbled and honored to serve his city or country. Public service is usually interpreted in our fallen world as the public serving the official, not the other way around. In line 1 of Canto 21, the relationship between Dante and Virgil is not reducible to their journey through hell. Part of their conversation is private, not for our ears. Like the shipbuilding yards in Venice, this Malabolgia, or ditch, we've been looking at is filled with tarry pitch, boiling by no earthly power, leaving the banks of the pit covered in a sticky coating. The picture is one of great darkness, but also of a sort of contaminating stickiness, a filth that attaches itself to everything. The surface of the tar reveals nothing besides the thick bubbles that rise, grow, and burst. Stickiness and concealment of what hides beneath the surface seem to be the predominant images. Dante's staring down into the tarry pit is interrupted by Virgil's cry, "Look out!" Up to now, except for the gates of Dis, Virgil has encouraged Dante to be courageous, not to let fear keep him from facing up to the horrors of hell. But here, Virgil himself sounds panicky. He's spotted a devil dashing at them by the double propulsion of both feet and widespread wings. The devil is as black as the tarry pit he patrols, and he is one of the many devils called by Dante the Malebranche, literally, evil claws. These devils have been given outlandish names, and their interactions are fascinating and at times hilarious. But make no mistake, they are vicious. The fear they inspire is an essential part of the tone of this canto. This is the chaotic place where terror reigns. Until now in their journeys, Dante and Virgil have witnessed punishments that are somehow the natural outcome of the sins committed. The imagery has carefully avoided the typical picture of hell, which is devils poking sinners with pitchforks. And now we find the pitchforks. But why now? Why does the punishment here include these armed devils? Well, it turns out that Dante and Virgil are not the devil's target. He's transporting a soul, carrying him by the Achilles tendons, like game that's been strung up. This is a distinctively predatory place, and the souls are the prey. The souls are treated merely as sport for the devils, objects for their entertainment. These souls are barrators or grafters, those who have abused their position in public office for their own personal advancement, usually financial. They have presented themselves to the world as public servants, but are in fact using the public for their own private gain. They have come not to serve, but to be served. Concerned for their own personal profit rather than for the common good they are called to protect can turn no into of course. All it takes is the right enticement or bribe. And for much of Italian history, this sin has been developed into an art form. Now that we have discovered who is being punished in the pit, we can see part of the reason the devils are involved in the punishment. These souls have abused the civic power with which they were entrusted. They objectified their subjects, using their power, both influence and force, usually in the form of enforcers, to extract whatever it is they wanted. And now these souls are pawns in the game. Understood in this way, the punishment is clearly retributive. We shall see that there is more to their punishment than mere retribution, however. What they experience here in the tar is in some real way reflective of how they lived while on earth. In line 43, the soul dashes away from the demon, diving into the tar. When even part of him is visible, he is threatened with attack by hooks. Given the slightest opportunity, the devils attack. And the line 52 says, they harpooned him with 100 prongs. Ugh. This imagery suggests that here you are never safe. There is no relaxing or letting down the guard. These souls are like mice with a cat waiting outside their hole. The connection between the punishment and the sin is made clearer here in line 53. It says, these souls were masters of working undercover, under the table, under the radar. You do your jigs here undercover. Success in their sinful ways on earth required them to avoid detection from higher authorities by remaining out of sight. Being exposed to view must be avoided at all costs. And here, they must do the same. Work out of sight with only the bubbles in the tar to tell us that anyone is there at all. Revealing even the smallest part of their bodies can be the cause of horrible punishment. These were souls who abused authority, but they were also subject to authority. They might have acted as though they were a law unto themselves, but they weren't. They were mere middle management, taking what they could while remaining undetected by the big boss. Somehow, it can all seem like a game. This place is lawless enough that Virgil, usually a voice pushing Dante to courage, instructs him to hide behind a rock. When society disintegrates so far as this, rational discourse is of no use, and fear and constant vigilance are the only rational responses. Remember Virgil at the gates of the city of Dis when his command to let them in went unheeded? Well, the same bewilderment will happen again soon when he realizes that the evil claws have lied to him about there being a bridge over the Malebolgia of the hypocrites. Virgil needs to be crafty here as the devils are to make it through. He's no longer an all-knowing tour guide, the one with all the answers, and always in control of the situation. Here, he is just an inexperienced player in a sort of reality game in which he needs to keep his wits about him. So often in corrupt society, even honest people need, or feel the need to, play the game in order to survive. But intimidation is the norm here. The devils instill fear, just as the public officials who find themselves in hell use their position to intimidate those subject to them. Fear is used as a tool of manipulation, to lessen the resistance of others, to wear them down. These devils are stereotypical bullies. And even the devils are aware that they have to be on guard and be at the top of their game. They, too, can be fooled and manipulated. In this game of cat and mouse, the roles are not clearly defined. As we'll see, here the predator can swiftly become the prey. Aesop sums up the tone of the struggle beautifully when he writes, "Theirs is the game of the naked and shifty against the armed and stupid, world without end." In strange ways, the devils are being punished here along with the souls they torment. They aren't really in charge. They are often frustrated in their desires and ineffective in their attempts to control the souls punished here. In line 79, Virgil immediately puts the devil called Evil Tail in his place. He and Dante are here and have passed through many obstacles on the way here because it has been willed by God. Even the evil claws operate under authority, and their bullying is not entirely unrestrained. They aren't the top dog. In line 87, it says, "There won't be any stabbing now." The devil's disappointment is evident as he drops his grappling hook. The game, at least for the moment, is over for him. He's just a stupid thug who's been caught. The devil's authority is clearly not absolute. They aren't rulers of this Malebolgia, but residents. The petty official, in this case, Evil Tail, has been caught red-handed by the big boss. In the face of real authority, the abuse of his own authority has to stop. His toy has been taken away, and he pouts like a child. Bullying and intimidation have a dehumanizing effect. Even if we try to pay no attention, the constant threat wears us down. Even if we try not to react, we find frustration and anger growing inside of us. And before we know it, we are giving as good as we get. We have allowed ourselves to be dragged down to their thuggish level. We are playing their game. How do we stand up to these bullies without losing our own moral sense and dignity? The dehumanizing effects of intimidation and fear are clear in the picture Dante paints of himself. And he says, I pressed myself close to my leader's side from head to toe and never let my eyes turn from their faces. Intimidation intends to produce a loss of dignity in its subjects. They are made to fear that resistance is useless. In Dante's case, the fear is well-founded, since the evil claws are continually bantering among themselves about what they're going to do to him. He has already seen what they did to the souls punished here, and can he trust their words and promises? In a place like this, there is no trust, and, as a result, no rest. The weak must always be on guard against the powerful. The evil claws weave together truth and deception in a dangerous way. They explain that the bridge here is out because of an event they are able to time down to the hour, actually. It was the earthquake at our Lord's death. This fits with what Virgil and Dante already know about the damage done to the landscape of hell through the Paschal Mystery. Remember, however, that Virgil's other journey here was before that time. He hasn't seen this damage to the bridge firsthand. The likelihood of what the devils tell him, however, inclines him to believe them. So, when the devil tells him that there is a bridge not much further along the ditch that's still intact, Virgil believes that too. In line 115, the devils even appear to offer to be helpful, serving as guides for the travelers, guaranteeing them safe passage. Is this cooperative spirit the result of Virgil's words about their being on God's authority? Perhaps they had more effect than he thought at first. Are the evil claws bending their wills to the inevitable and voluntarily obeying God's will? In this circle, with these particular sinners, cooperation is never what it appears to be. Words are used as a mean to an end, a selfish end. Circumstances are made to be taken advantage of, and these devils are just the sort to grab hold of that advantage. The extravagant names of the evil claws make them even more ridiculous. It is hard to take someone seriously named Stormbreath, even if he has tusks. These are not superior beings, but thugs. Violent and intimidating, but ultimately stupid and laughable. Here we see what happens when we allow might to be equivalent to right. The quotation, "read the fine print," is usually a reminder that hidden under the surface of the agreement is something unpleasant that you don't expect. Some hidden charges or cancellation of a benefit for arbitrary reasons. Contracts and agreements are intended to be clear and binding, not a means of manipulation and deception. When our Lord's disciples questioned him about making oaths, he demanded clear, unequivocal speech for them, saying, "Let what you say be simply yes or no. Anything more than this comes from the evil one." Matthew 5:37. And line 125, the line says, "Keep these men safe until that other ridge, the one that crosses, all the dens intact." The devil is as good as his word. Virgil and Dante will be safe with this hellish patrol all the way to the bridge that is still standing. But what effect does this guarantee have if there is no bridge? I suppose no one suspects the devils are logicians. Dante, picking up on the signal from the evil claws, because it's hard to ignore the fact that they're drooling and grinning, making faces at one another, he pleads with Virgil that the two of them would be safer making their way by themselves. But Virgil, desiring to believe them, desiring to believe in God's authority, even here, overrules them. Virgil thinks that all of this posturing by the devils is really intended for the souls of the fraudulent officials, but not the two of them. Here we see the destructive power of fraud. Rational people want to believe in the basic goodness of their neighbors. Our society depends upon the ability to take one another at face value and at our word. Virgil, the voice of reason, refuses to give up on that confidence in the truthfulness of other rational beings. It is Virgil's basic goodness that they are manipulating.